Welcome back to the Reveal. Today we are in John chapter 13, and I'm going to back up to verse 13 so I can put this together. We're at the Lord's Supper. You call me Lord and teacher, and you are right, for so I am. If then the Lord and teacher washed your feet, you also ought to wash one another's feet. For I gave you an example that you should also do as I did to you. That's going to mean something in a minute. Truly, truly, I say to you, a slave is not greater than his master, nor is the one who sent greater than the one who sent him. Now, here's what I want you to remember. They were clean. Why? Because he washed their feet? No, because of the word that he gave them. Peter was washed and clean because of the word, didn't need his whole body clean. He washed his feet, but it was a symbolizing that it was the word that made him clean. Now he says you must wash one another's feet. What is he saying? If that washing is the word, then what he's saying is they have to continually wash each other with the word. You go into Ephesians and it talks about a husband washing his wife with the word. It's the word that's the focus here. They are to encourage one another. They're to remind them what Jesus said. They're to build one another up in the gospel, in the word. But then Jesus reveals another aspect of this in that last statement. He says, no one's greater than their master. Why is he saying this? I think to some degree he's addressing pride, that no servant is greater than his master, Jesus. In other words, you're going to be out there, miraculous things are going to be happening, you're going to be sharing the gospel. Don't let it get to you. Remember, I gave you the gospel and you're representing me. So Jesus is saying, stay humble in your leadership. They're going to bring others to Christ, but they don't need those others following the apostles. They need the people they bring to Christ pointed to Christ. Remember, no servant is greater than the master. I've given you the word. You're going to give the word. Make sure to point those people to the master. All right. Romans 10:15 says it this way. How will they preach unless they are sent? Just as it's written, how beautiful are the feet of those who bring good news of good things. How beautiful are the feet that were washed with the word. How beautiful are the feet that bring good news. Are you seeing the connection? The word, the good news, how beautiful are the feet that bring it. That all just came together like wrapped up in a bow. Jesus just said, hey, I'm washing your feet. You're clean because of the word. Now, how beautiful your feet will be because you're bringing the word, and make sure that they all report to the master, not to you. Let's go on. 17. If you know these things, you are blessed if you do them. Now, let me just say, I think Jesus is often talking in a higher level than people who are listening to him recognize, maybe even for you and me. It's when things start coming together in Scripture, I'm just in awe of the mastery of words and the mystery that is revealed. I can imagine these disciples having so many aha moments. Oh, you're talking about sharing the gospel, and that's why you washed our feet. Look at 18. I do not speak of all of you. I know the ones that I have chosen, but it is that the scripture may be fulfilled. Watch this. He who eats my bread has lifted up his heel against me. What an odd thing to say at dinner. What a strange thing for Jesus to roll out while they're having this final dinner together. And he said, the one who eats bread with me is going to lift up his heel. Why is he saying that? Why specifically is Jesus saying that? It should have clicked with them. He's quoting Psalm 41:9. Which says, even my close friend in whom I trusted, who ate my bread, has lifted up his heel against me. So he is letting them know that something else is about to happen that's going to fulfill a prophecy that they should know out of the psalm. It was a prophetic word that whoever's going to eat bread with him is going to be the one who betrays him. Verse 19. From now on, I'm telling you before it comes to pass, so that when it does occur, you may believe that I am he. Are you with me? He just said, I just gave you a prophetic word. It's in the prophecy in Psalms. Now I'm telling you it's about to happen. I want you to know that I'm telling you before it happens, so when it happens, you can connect it back to Psalms and recognize that I'm the Lord because I just put those things together. Truly, truly, I say to you, he who receives whomever I send receives me, and he who receives me receives him who sent me. I think this is so cool from Jesus's perspective. The disciples have no idea at that time that the eating of bread and betrayal is about to happen. He's told them something in Scripture is about to happen, but they didn't come to this dinner thinking, this is the dinner where we're going to find out who's going to betray him to be crucified. They don't even know this is coming. This is like a blind shot. And Jesus literally tells them, I'm currently reminding you of Psalms 41:9 because you're about to see it happen right in front of your eyes. That prophetic word back then is about to come to pass, and you're going to watch it happen. They're still a bit clueless, and you'll see. When Jesus had said this, he became troubled in spirit, small s. He became troubled in his man-flesh spirit and testified and said, truly, truly, I say to you that one of you will betray me. This is a major shift. It's a major shift in that dinner, in that evening he's having with them. And it is a major shift for all of time and history. Something just got rolling. Something just started. Something just got put in place. What am I saying? That once he announces that somebody here at this dinner is going to betray me, the crucifixion is now set in motion. And I'm telling you in a minute, you're going to see that Jesus realizes this moment has occurred. It's like he becomes troubled in his spirit. Why? I think for the same reason he became troubled in his spirit at the tomb of Lazarus. Because the tomb of Lazarus let Jesus know, reminded Jesus, if you will. I don't mean to let him know as in he didn't know. It reminded Jesus of what he's about to have to do, to die for all mankind and bear the sins. And so the emotions come out at the tomb of Lazarus. Look, it's just happening again here. Jesus is getting troubled in his spirit because he's setting in motion his crucifixion. And we see it in the garden, we see it at the tomb of Lazarus, and we see it here at the dinner, that is a struggling moment for Christ, knowing he's going to have to bear the weight of sin of all mankind. 22. The disciples began looking at one another, at a loss to know of which one was he speaking. There was reclining at Jesus' bosom one of his disciples whom Jesus loved. We know it to be John, who wrote this book. So Simon Peter gestured to him and said, hey, tell us who it is of whom he is speaking. And he, the one that Jesus loved, leaning back thus on Jesus' bosom, said to him, Lord, who is it? Who's going to do this thing? Jesus then answered, that is the one for whom I shall dip the morsel and give it to him. And when he had dipped the morsel, he took it and he gave it to Judas, son of Simon Iscariot. Interestingly enough, Jesus gave them the hint of who it was going to be with the bread. Now he's telling them, I'm going to dip bread and give it to someone. Then he does it, and you're going to see that they still quite don't get it yet. So when he had dipped the morsel, he took it and gave it to Judas, the son of Simon Iscariot. After the morsel, Satan entered him. Satan entered Judas. Therefore, Jesus said to him, what you do, do quickly. Jesus shares the bread with Judas. Satan enters Judas. Jesus is knowing now, I have just set in motion my crucifixion where I will bear the sin of man. And Satan at that moment is thinking, I'm using Judas to conquer Jesus. I'm going to beat him. So Jesus told him, what you're about to do, do quickly. I want you to think about this because I'm going to bet most people don't. When Jesus said, what you're about to do quickly, who was he talking to? Because most of us sit back and think, well, Judas, and he was telling Judas, go out there and betray me and let's get this thing rolling. But Jesus knows Satan has entered Judas. I believe when Jesus makes this statement, he's talking to Satan. He's saying, you go do what you think you're going to accomplish. You go do it quickly. Let's get this over with. Let's do this. I think he's talking to Satan when he says that. 28. Now, no one of those reclining at the table knew for what purpose he had said this to him. Again, here we go back to the clueless land. They don't know why Jesus says this to Judas, go and do what you must do quickly. So the disciples are wondering, what does Judas have to go and do quickly? Maybe that's why Jesus gave him some bread and said, here, take a bite because you're about to leave. And he's already told everybody that whoever I share the bread with and I dip it and give it to him, they're going to betray me. But look at 29. For some were supposing, because Judas had the money box, that Jesus was saying to him, buy the things we need for the feast, or else that he should give something to the poor. So after receiving the morsel, he went out and it was night. I think this is fascinating. He just said the one that's going to betray me is the one who dips bread with me and I give it to him. He dips bread and gives it to Judas. Says, go out and do what you must do quickly. Their mind should have been on, he's going to go betray Jesus. Instead, they think, I wonder if he's going to go get something for the festival and Jesus is sending him out to do that quickly. Or maybe there's somebody who's poor who needs some funds quickly, so Judas, who carries the treasury box, is going to go take. It's like they're completely clueless. And this, to me, brings up a great question about myself. If Jesus has already told them somebody's going to betray me, if he's already told them it's going to be someone who eats bread with me, if they're asking who it is and he said, I'm going to dip bread and give it to this person and that's going to be the one, and he dips bread and gives it to the person and then says, go and do what you must do quickly, and leaves, and the disciples are still clueless, how often are we clueless about what Jesus has said? How often has he told us, reminded us, reiterated it to us, and we still don't see it? I believe at this moment they are being a little bit clueless and not really thinking about what just happened. And yet it makes me think, does that happen to me? Has Jesus been speaking to me in a dream? Has he been speaking to me through a situation, through my friends? Has he spoken in that still small voice? And I should know what's about to happen. And yet, when it all begins to unfold, I'm like, I don't see it. I don't know what's going on. Man, maybe we got to tune in spiritually a little bit better. I want to end with one other final note. Did you notice the very last scripture I read? So after receiving the morsel, he went out quickly, and it was night. Man, I've said this many, many times. Every single word is in Scripture for a reason. There is a purpose and a reason and a meaning for everything. Otherwise, it would have not have been recorded for us. The Spirit would not have inspired them to put those words, and it was night. There's a reason we need to recognize, and it was night. I want you to consider for just a moment what just happened. Jesus told them, I'm about to be betrayed. Jesus is emotionally stirred in his spirit because he knows he's about to be betrayed. He's told them it's going to be the one who I dip bread with. He has dipped bread and given it to Judas, and he's looked straight at Satan and said, go do what you're going to do quickly. Jesus knows what's going on. And then they begin to question, why did Jesus leave? But after receiving the morsel, he went out, and it was night. I could probably expound on that for a while. What is the spiritual significance of the words, "and it was night"? But I don't want to do that. I want to let you ponder it. We'll see you next time on The Reveal.